This is how you can use selection tools in photopea so that you can select part of a picture and edit it in ways that you want. So to start with, up in the menu here there's a button that says select, and I can select all of this picture if I want to. So if I click select, you'll see I've got a dotted line around the edge of the picture. So I could copy that picture and paste it somewhere else. But we've got much better tools than that. If I just go back up to the top, I'm going to choose deselect, which I can use to get rid of the selection. So over on the left hand menu I've got this tool underneath the arrow. I can choose rectangle select or ellipse select. So if I go onto these tools and click them, then all it does is gives me a rectangle or a square, so I can select that tool and then maybe copy it or delete part of the picture. But again, it doesn't help me very much. So again, I'm going to deselect that, and then I could also use the ellipse select. So what this does is it lets me draw a shape and move it round so that I can kind of select parts of the picture that I want. But again, doesn't really help me very much in what I want to do with this picture, because what I want to do with this picture is cut the baby out and then put it into a different picture. So I've got a picture of the moon. I've gone to the menu and clicked file, and I've clicked open, and then found the picture that I've downloaded from Pixabay of the moon here, and I want to put this baby on the moon. And so what I've done is I've got this picture, clicked file and open, and found it on my computer and uploaded this. So let's have a look. Underneath this we've got these tools. The lasso select tool is a bit better because what it does is it lets you drag round. It's a freehand drawing tool, so I can draw it round the baby, but you can see I've made lots of mistakes there, and so that's probably not going to help us very much. So you've got the polygon lasso tool. This doesn't really help too much for this. Different tools are best for different things. This draws straight lines, and every time I click I can draw another line, so it's maybe a bit more accurate. So I could use that tool around to get around the baby there, but I'm going to deselect that as well, or if I just double click and then deselect. So I could use the magnetic lasso select, but I'm going to use a different one. If I come to the menu underneath it, I'm going to choose quick selection, and if I click down here on the baby, then you'll see it cuts round all of the baby there. Now I've been quite lucky there, it's done it all in one go. If it doesn't do it all in one go, let me just show you what that might look like. So if I click on the baby's arm, it's got the baby but not the blue shirt. So if I just click on the blue shirt, it will get that as well, and the reason is there's a little plus up there. So if I keep clicking, it will let me add extra sections. So what I want to do now I've selected the baby is copy it. So I'm going to go to edit and copy, and that's copied the baby. And what I need to do is go to my picture of the moon. Now I could just click edit paste, but I want to tell you about layers because that would put this in the background as a background layer, and I want to make it have its own layer, and I'll show you why later. If I click layer, new layer, that just gives me a new invisible layer. It's like putting a piece of tracing paper over the top of it. And now I'm going to paste the picture of the baby on. Edit, paste. So I've got my picture of the baby on now. If I click to try to move it, I'm still on the selection tools. I don't want to do that, so I'll just undo that. If I click at the top, I've got this move tool, and I can click and I can move the baby around, and I can resize the picture and make it smaller. Okay, so let me show you a different tool now. If I come onto this picture, I want just this picture of the baby, and I could use some of the same tools, and it's worth experimenting with different ones. First thing, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to click the zoom button and then just click, and then that will zoom in a little bit. I just clicked once. If you need to zoom out, right click or two finger tap on a Chromebook, zoom out. So I'll zoom back in. And I'm going to go and try a different tool now. I'm going to use magnetic lasso select. And what this does, if you remember the lasso tool, then that draws a line round. This is much cleverer than that. If if I click on it and click on the edge of the baby and then just drag, it finds where the edge of the baby is. So I'm clicking, and every now and again I'm just clicking again. So I'm going round the baby and it's finding the edge where the colour changes. So the hair isn't perfect. That's a problem where you've got fluffy hair like that. But I'll keep going. You get more control if you do more clicks and you go slower. But I'm going quite quickly here, and it's doing a good job, to be fair. Come down here. So different tools work better on different pictures. So I'm just going to go to the bottom. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's not included the blue of the socks, so I went back again. And then as I got to the bottom, it moved the picture up as I started to go to the bottom. And as I'm moving around here and going up the side of the picture, I'm going to get back to where I started, and I double click. So if I, oops, sorry, I meant single click. So edit, undo. So I've got my baby outlined in selection. I can go to edit and copy. Now, if I go back to this picture and go edit paste, it's going to put it in the same layer as this baby. If you look over here, you can see the layers. I've got the background layer and then the layer with the baby. I can click this little eye and it will hide the background. And then I can click this layer and it will hide the baby. But I want to do another layer, so I'm going to click layer, new, layer, and put this baby in layer 2. So now I'm going to click edit, paste, and it puts this baby in. And if you remember, I can use it by going to the move tool and click on it and move that baby. Now if you remember, we put these in different layers, and part of the reason for that is you can make changes to one layer and it won't affect anything else in the picture, or you can delete parts of a layer. So if I click on this layer, which has got the baby in the bottom left hand corner, I could put an effect on there by going up to filter and choosing any of these that I've got down here. So I could go to oil painting and make this bottom baby look like an oil painting by changing some of these things. If you look, you'll see how it changes and it looks like it's made from brush strokes. So I could do that, and that doesn't affect the background and it doesn't affect the other baby over there. So that's one of the reasons why we use layers. So I'll just reset that and click OK and close it. So if I wanted to make these black and white, I could do things like that as well. So what I need to do now is save this picture. So I could save this picture by clicking File and Save, and what that does, or File and Save as PSD, and that will save it in a format that lets me open the picture and carry on making changes, but nobody else will be able to open that. You won't be able to open that on a computer unless you're using photopea or a program like Photoshop. So that will save you a version with all the layers and you can make changes. But when you've finished, if you want everybody to see it, if you click File, Export As, and you can choose some of these. The main ones are PNG, JPEG or GIF. So I'm going to go to PNG, or no, I'll go to JPEG actually, and click on it. And what you can do is you can reduce the image quality so that people can see, so it doesn't take as long to download. But normally the quality is absolutely fine these days. So computer broadband connections don't mean that you don't need to have a really fast connection to download something. But if I want to save this, I can click on Save, and then it will download the picture for me down there. So what that does is it means I can open that picture, and that picture will work on any computer, so everybody will be able to see that picture.